Welcome back, Elf Hunters. Hope everybody is having a marvelous Monday. It's a marvelous, marvelous Monday. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Look at that market. Woo, buddy. So, what was this pop that we just got about an hour ago? Well, last week, even over the weekend, I kind of mentioned in the Market Outlook video, watch out for that 1 o'clock Eastern time. We were going to get the Treasury auction for the 20-year yields. We can go take a look at some of that stuff. But as far as the market, not really a huge gap today. Not anything of significance, but the market was very bullish. Like we just started just grinding out higher immediately. Let's see, the low and the open is the same penny. It's a perfect shape bottom day there on the SPY. What about the Qs? Qs perfect. Nope. Nope. One penny. One penny difference between the open and the close there on the Qs. So, but yeah, you can see just how strong today's been. Just nice little steady uptrend, kind of a little sideways action there for 2 hours until we got to the 20-year auction, and then nice pop there, slow grind higher here over the past hour. All right, so that's kind of what's been going on today. Qs, yeah, take a look at that. We'll take a look at the intraday charts, and we'll take a look at all of the daily charts, kind of see where some of these are getting. IWM a little bit more choppy, a little bit more choppy. So nothing crazy. Actually, you see that pop there from the yields on the 20-year auction, and then it came back down a little bit and just kind of going sideways there. So okay, fair enough. DI, look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, very nice push higher throughout the day, just very steady. Looking pretty good. A little bit of a pullback there before we got to the auction, and then that Treasury auction. Nice little bump there. RSP, the equal weight SP 500, a little bit of a gap down there on the RSP. Traded lower initially, and then got going up 0.4% on the day. So, okay, that's kind of how the day is going across these. They all kind of look the same. A little bit of choppiness there on the IWM intraday. But the SPY breaking above this high from September, looking like the next major level. And I mean, I know we've gotten over it now, but it's still like basically in the zone. And we didn't never feel this gap down that we had back from August 1st. If you don't remember what this was, this gap down that we had from August 1st to August 2nd, this is when Fitch downgraded U.S. long-term debt. That's what that was. So it'd be interesting to see, because now if we come back up and fill this gap and then roll over, yeah, possibly. We have been on one hell of a run here over the past 3 weeks and a day. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's still just not a great spot to be bullish. I would still be looking for a pullback if you do want to hop in bullish. But yeah, we do have us breaking that September high, looking like we're probably going to come fill this gap up another like 2 points or so, probably fill that gap. So if we ended today kind of strong, here we are now, 454, maybe a little bit higher. I can see us very quickly tomorrow just running up to 456 before figuring out what we do next on the market. Up 5 points from our current level would be the current year high that we put in back in July. So, yeah, very interesting. Qs making new yearly highs. If you follow the drama that started and ensued 30 minutes before the market closed on Friday, it was a crazy weekend. Too bad we did not trade that this weekend, but we'll talk about that if you're not totally sure what I'm talking about. But yeah, it looks very good. Qs look pretty aggressive. How we get closer, we get into all-time highs. So we are kind of in a zone where there's not much, and we're just kind of in between some two pretty good support levels, and then obviously breaking that July high. Qs, I mean, probably making a run. I mean, I can't disagree with it. Maybe another 5% higher would be all-time highs, basically. So, all right, looking pretty strong there on the Qs. What about the IWM? How's the IWM looking? Yeah, IWM threw that huge wick last week. What day was that? Wasn't that Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. Friday, nice gap up. It didn't really do too much there intraday on Friday. Just mostly a gap up. I would rather have exposure to IWM over Qs. I mean, that's just, yeah. I mean, that's just kind of been my outlook for the past couple of weeks. But yeah, all right. IWM just kind of like in no man's land, really. You got one resistance it tried to get over last week, and it came back down. And right now we're kind of like right at it. So it's kind of one of those spots that I mean, we could definitely push higher through this zone because we came back down through it, tried to roll over from it, or we don't hold now twice within 2 weeks, and then we just roll over, come back down, consolidate a little bit more, and then push higher later on. Either way, either scenario kind of works. But if we do break out higher, you're probably just going to look for the quick retest into this zone before we probably continue higher. Dow Jones Industrial Average, man, the Dow has really caught me off guard. I mostly because I really thought this getting below these levels, kind of like what we did, this would have been really bad for the Dow. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know the basically AAPL Microsoft have really crushed it here over the past couple of weeks, and they're pretty big weightings in the Dow Jones. Not the largest. UNH is the largest. How have they done over the past couple of weeks? And that's the thing. Is like UNH really hasn't done much over the past couple of weeks. I mean, you can see a slow grind higher, but that is the largest weighting in the Dow Jones, so that's kind of interesting to see. UNH not really leading that charge. Equal weight SP 500, the RSP coming into this zone. That's kind of where it rejected last week. Also, when the IWM through that upper wick, RSP through that upper wick, kind of the same spot. Kind of a tough spot. You're also even if it does get through this area, you're still going to have a run to this downtrending line that we've mostly had. We got through it once back in July, but it came right back down through it, traded lower. Fair enough. I mean, it's just, yeah, I don't mind being patient. Yeah, just be patient. Take a look at Apple real quick. So Apple's doing pretty good. It's up 1%. I'll take a look at tech stocks a little bit later, but I just wanted to kind of show you this is one reason why the Dow Jones and Qs are just crushing. Apple's been doing pretty good here over the past 3-4 weeks. So 3 weeks in a day, I guess, right? So doing pretty good there on AAPL. Take a look here at the VIX. VIX trading down a little bit of a higher open. That goes back to the easy bullish VIX Friday on the close it Monday on the open. It's like one of the easiest trades ever. Like every week it works. Every freaking week. I think there's been like 1 week in the past like year it didn't work. Dollar DXY. DXY. Yeah, kind of just coming into these tops. Still just pulling back. It's kind of it's in its move. You can't really do anything with this right now because it's in its move. You definitely want to be snagging it here on this breakdown that we had at the very beginning of November, and we got this retest. Like I mentioned this before, like that was the spot to go bearish on the DXY. We definitely got the follow through last week. This is just a continuation. You're probably if you did play this bearish, you're probably just scaling out of this. You're scaling out of this, especially as it comes into this. This is a very strong move that we had over the summer on the dollar. How much of a where's the fib? Where's the fibs? I always lose track of the fibs. Here's the fibs. So we have so far we're at a 50% pullback right here. 50%. A lot of people definitely watch that 62.8 on Fibonacci's. So, I mean, it makes sense to probably take some off big time here. You're coming into a pretty good spot where we like double topped here and we're rolled over. Also Fibonacci wise for this whole move up. But if you want to take some off there and say, you know what, I'm gonna leave the last little bit of a bearish position on the DXY for this level, which would be around 102.6 or so. I would say point 0.6. Then yeah, take the rest off there. That makes kind of some sense to me. But we'll have to see how this thing sets up later on, because it's into a move now, and you can't really see anything set up while it's in a move. Need to see it at least consolidate for a period of time. GLD gap down, dollars down. That's interesting. So gold GLD here, even though it had a pretty good gap down, still negative on the day, but nice little bounce. So let me take a look at GLD. So GLD dollar intraday. Dollar intraday looked like it dropped. Now, yeah, I can say most of the drop has come in, during the day here on the dollar. We did roll over a little bit, but we had a bounce before the trading day actually started. So I'm just trying to line up the GLD. So the GLD gapped down and traded higher, which kind of makes sense because intraday, the DXY basically kind of opened flat to where the futures open, but then traded lower. Okay. All right. Kind of makes sense there. Oops. There we go. 10-year yield was actually holding up somewhat strong. And then we had the Treasury auction about an hour ago for the 20-year yield. And you can see the 10-year yield kind of dropped. That makes sense. 20-year yield Treasury auction apparently went well. There was nothing of chaos, not like we'd had last week. Yeah, I mean, there you go. We haven't gotten below this lower wick that we had on Friday. Doesn't mean that we don't trend down and break it tomorrow. I'd be very interested to see what yields do the rest of the day, though. All right, 10-year yield. Not 10-year. 10 and 2 inversion. Which give me a second. Let's take a look at that 20-year yield. So here's the 20-year. This is what got auctioned. What's very interesting is we obviously we did break down, but we're starting to trend back up. So this is what I mean by definitely watch what yields do by the end of the day, because if they come back up, that won't be good going into the latter parts of this week. Anyways, 10 to 2 inversion. Obviously, the 20-year Treasury auction had some impact here. Look at this very cute head and shoulders kind of action here. Look at that little mini shoulder drop off, because the neckline's basically the same spot, but that was a huge shoulder, and we got a mini shoulder. I call it a little hunchback head and shoulders. Yeah, very interesting to see that on a relationship type chart. Okay. So nothing crazy going on yet for the 10-2. Once we get going, kind of like how we were back in October, that would be the clear sign. So we have a top here back, in kind of late October. That's like, I would be one to imagine that that's what we're going to be watching. Once we break that, like, it's going to be probably game on now. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. No fortune telling. HYG moving up a little bit today. Makes sense. Bonds are down. Okay. LQD. Okay. Also, they probably had a pop about an hour ago. Yep. Pop there about an hour ago. Here it is on a 5-minute. So, okay. How about the TLT? TLT got a pop coming back down, though. Coming back down. And the TLT tracks the 20-year Treasury. So, this is definitely one to be watchful of. Okay. Take a look at that sector rotation. I'm going to imagine tech's doing pretty good today. There we go. Sector rotation. All right. So, there we go. XLK doing really well. makes sense. XLC, tech, big tech. All right. Both of them doing pretty good, carrying the market today. Real estate, doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Probably has a lot to do with yields continuing to have downward pressures. Healthcare, financials, energies. What do we got here? What is this? Industrials, discretionaries, materials, staples, and utilities are at the lagging end of the day. Utilities really got hit early on. Intraday, this is kind of what it looks like, a little bit more chaotic. Tech's in line with the market. Real estate's been doing pretty good here throughout the day. So I guess they had a little bit of a gap down today. But real estate actually seeing some intraday buying there as yields have come down from a little bit of a higher open. So that kind of makes sense. Okay. Communications, XLC leading the day there. Healthcare, tech in line. Utilities, apparently they had a pretty good gap down because they're not doing as bad as the, taking into account the gap, way underperforming there. Materials, okay. Financials, okay. Industrials, discretionaries lagging behind. So I'm going to be curious to see what's going on with discretionaries. If that's Tesla or Amazon or what's going on there. Staples. I actually, you know what? I'm going to imagine discretionaries. Tesla's probably lagging. Just high level guess there. Staples, definitely underperforming. Energy's the biggest underperformer intraday. Okay. Okay.